Welcome to Sports Talk with Steve Jones, the daily talk show with the voice of Penn State football and men's basketball. You never know what special guest may stop on by any given day. Now here's the man of the hour, Mr. Steve Jones.
Yes, welcome. Great to have you on the show today. So, I have to give credit where credit's due. Kyle Shanahan has pursued Mac Jones.
That's right.
For years, and now he has him to be a backup.
That's right, and a 2-year deal, too, which tells me he's...
Brock Purdy's done. He's out. He's gone.
Yeah.
That's
it tells me he's taking the challenge on. He's going to say, hey, you know what? This guy was a first-round pick for a reason. I'm going to show you.
I mean, do you have anybody left on that team?
Sourdough Sam, I think, is still there, but I'm not sure if they cut him yet or not.
I'm just asking for friends. I mean, do you have anybody left on your team? I mean, really? All right. So, one firing and one expected in college basketball. Ben Johnson, the head coach at Minnesota, was essentially fired at about 2 o'clock this morning. I'm going to guess he was told in Indianapolis after they lost to Northwestern yesterday, but they announced it after they got off the plane at 1:07 Central Time, 2:07 Eastern Time. It's always the best time to do it and announce it when nobody's awake to know about it.
Including the guy that got fired.
Yeah, yeah, right. 4 years there. See, Richard Pitino I liked. I thought Richard Pitino was doing a really good job, and I think they got impatient with him. And then he goes other places, and geez, guess what? He does pretty well. There's a shocker. But, so they bring in Ben Johnson, 4 years, kind of took out over, because when Richard Pitino left, a lot of people then left with him. Players. I mean, who's Temple's best player? Mashburn. Where did he play? Minnesota. And that is, in this era, one of the risks that you have when you change coaches. You then, in many ways, start from scratch. That's why at the first sign of trouble, the crowd that wants everybody fired doesn't understand how it works. Right? Now, is there a certain period of time that you can give somebody and then you look around saying, look, it's not working? Yes, of course there is. It's not working. I got it. Okay. So you make the change. But you don't do it early on with somebody, not in today's world. Because when you do it, you're now back to expansion team status again.
Yeah.
I mean, that's been one of the problems here in this decade. Penn State's had 4 coaches in this decade. Okay? And, you've got to, you have to stabilize it and then build. Okay? So you go from there. I just don't. Now with Ben Johnson, it's been 4 years. I'll tell you what a minor problem that they have at Minnesota that is growing into a slightly bigger problem is St. Thomas. I know that they're, Summit League?
Yep.
I got that. And they're going to, I think they're finally eligible for the NCAAs next year. But they're right in the same neighborhood And it's the one thing Minnesota has never had to deal with in their state, another Division I program. They've had that entire state to themselves. And one of the issues they've had in recruiting is the number of Minnesota players that play for Wisconsin. Now, Ben Johnson did a great job of keeping Dawson Garcia. He transfers from North Carolina in. He is a Minnesota product. And Garcia, to his credit, stayed loyal to him. Okay? And that's important. And you're in this era now where the transfer portal, I want to say, opens the 24th of March for basketball. You have no idea. All right, and you're killing me. I mean, it's killing me.
If that's the,
I mean, the only team you could talk about is the 49ers.
That's right.
Yeah. I mean, really. So, that is, that's where Minnesota is going to be. Now, is it a good job?
24th to 22nd.
So, in other words, you had no clue, and what I told the audience was correct.
What you told the audience is correct. Absolutely.
Oh. All right. So,
Yeah.
all right. So, okay, that's when it opens up. That's when we're going to start finding out a few things across the board. Now, is Minnesota an attractive job? Excuse me. Ron Sanchez, the interim head coach of Virginia, was let go. But he was the interim. All right. So, are you surprised when the interim doesn't retain it? It's always a 50-50 proposition. Right. Jim Ferry, when he was here with the interim, he was a 50-50 proposition. His time was going. You could just tell.
Yeah, it doesn't mean they did a bad job either.
No,
Jim Ferry did an outstanding job.
Jim did a great job.
Yeah.
Jim did a great job, but he was almost in a no-win proposition job-wise. He ends up being the head coach at UMBC. He loves it down there. I talked to Jim for a while before the game this year about how things are going for him. And so it's worked out great for him, but he did a great job as the interim. But about 3 weeks out, you could just tell that they were going to go in whatever direction they selected to go in. Virginia, you felt from day one, Sanchez was doing everything he can to keep them above water. And they were going to go in whatever direction. What's more attractive, the Virginia job or the Minnesota job? Interesting. But what Minnesota has behind them that Virginia does not is lots and lots of television money. You're talking about an ACC program. The ACC is down. Unless something dramatic happens in the ACC tournament, they're going to get 3 bids. If it holds the way it does now, they're going to get 3 bids. The Big Ten is going to get 10. And you've got the money behind you to do it. When you're talking about the internal money of $20.5 million and the possibility that men's basketball gets 15% of it, 75% football, 15% men's basketball. Anybody can make the numbers work, whatever. I'm just giving you rough numbers here. The Minnesota job's a better job because you got the ability to get better players in. As opposed to Virginia, which, yes, I'm sure has pretty good NIL. But I don't know how you can afford the $20.5 million. I just don't know how you can. You don't have the media money behind it. You don't have the, your TV packages. You're also going to be heading into a reduction of 7%. You know what I'm talking about, right?
Mm-hmm.
You really don't. Okay. So they put together this reshaping based on TV ratings where there's going to be a bump up of 15% for those top 4 highest rated TV schools. That means the rest of the conference is going to be knocked down 7%. So I don't know where you get your money internally to match $20.5 million. I don't know how you do it. Now, I'm sure they have ways of doing it, fundraising, of course, being one. That's a lot of pressure on fundraising with the House settlement. So that, in just those bare facts, makes Minnesota the better job. Now, 5 years ago, was Minnesota the better job? No, Virginia's the better job. They won the national championship in 2019. Tony Bennett's got them rolling. They feel good. They've been the number 1 seed a couple of years in a row. Not now. And who knows what direction they're going to go in. Minnesota, no clue what direction they're going in. 0. This just happened early this morning. And, that's the bottom line. It's where they are. So, that's where it is. As for the tournaments, first of all, for the most part, the conference championship games have been really good. Yeah. I mean, Chattanooga and the Wofford SoCon game, whoa, really good. Really, really good. And I did watch Navy. It doesn't help when Navy's best shooter takes a shot to somebody's stomach and gets an F2 90 seconds into the game. Now, no offense, I do like my Navy to be aggressive. So, yeah. That's, On the court, maybe not so much, but... But in general, I do like my Navy to be aggressive.
Yeah, you usually do.
Oh.
Typically.
Wait, that's just me. Just me. All right. So. So that's where we are. We're going to, by the way, we're going to... football will get back going next week. And, because, everybody's off this week. This is, tonight on the show at the field, is it Bigfoot Country Legends that carries it? Whatever. They do a better job of marketing it. I'm talking about here. You know how many people ask me what it's on? That's not good. Okay? It should be an automatic, like people in their minds know where it is. A message from this announcer to the management. I think you do a better job of getting it out there and marketing it. Oh, we do great. Really? What does everybody ask me? Sorry. Cale Sanderson's on tonight.
I was going to say, I was thinking Cale had to be on, right?
Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah, Cale Sanderson's on tonight.
Yeah, that'd be good.
So, talk about the NCAA championships, which will be in Philadelphia. We'll also talk fencing tonight because Penn State's hosting the NCAA fencing championships. It's going to be over at the Multisport. So, yeah. This is great.
And wrestling obviously gets the Big Tens here next year.
They do. They do, as a matter of fact. Yes, they do.
It's sort of poetic justice to an extent. I think there's, after obviously 2021, they had the chance to host it. Weren't allowed to obviously have a capacity crowd, which they would have had,
right?
Without a doubt. So, yeah, I get the chance now to do it again next year.
About time.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. So, bring it back.
Yeah, and this state as a whole, obviously Penn State has made it what it is. There's no question, but this state as a whole is one of the biggest states in the country for wrestling. There's no doubt about it, and that's high school to college level.
Yeah. Well, look, there are 3 places that host whatever with wrestling, and it's an incredibly tough ticket. Iowa, probably Oklahoma State, and absolutely the number 1 place is here.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So they are coming off they're coming off a record-setting performance at the Big Tens, because that's the most points ever racked up at the Big Tens. They've got 4 number 1 seeds. Kirkfleet's 3.
Right, yeah. Bars 4.
Bars 4, and they've got, let's see, do they have 1-8? I think there's 1-8.
Trying to think who the 8 is.
So, I think Braden Davis is a 4.
Yep.
Excuse me. So, there we are with that. But, yes, last night in the tournaments, by the way, Duke is going to play today at noon against Georgia Tech, in case America wants to watch. Georgia Tech, by the way, in a quick note, has started the game with 14 fouls. What? What?
I can't believe you would tell me that they would give Duke a little bit of favoritism. That never happened. No, never once before.
It's already up on the scoreboard. People, in the ACC, they've accepted it over the years.
That's like saying they've made a call that's gone to Notre Dame's way in college football. I don't know if that's ever happened.
By the way, in the American Athletic Conference, they have come up with a minimum payout of $10 million in additional benefits over the next 3 years. So it's the only league so far that has set a minimum standard, with revenue sharing expected to begin in July. There are 2 schools that are exempt, Navy and Army. Okay? They're not allowed to participate in this. Okay? God, they have 15 schools in the AAC.
See?
Really? I never knew that. ACC, Big East, Big Ten, Big 12, SEC told Associated Press that each of their schools will be free to decide their level of revenue sharing. Now, we already know that Penn State's going to go right to the 20.5. And most are expected to fund 20.5 or at least be close to it. Penn State's definitely doing the 20.5. Any school that fails to reach $10 million in the American Athletic Conference, said Tim Pernetti, over 3 years, could jeopardize the school's membership. Fine, we're going to Conference USA. What do we care? So, yeah. All right, so now let's get to last night in the conference tournaments. Ohio State's in trouble. Simple as that. I think they are now going to, my guess is they'll go to the Crown. And that's if they want to. But this postseason thing outside of the NCAAs is going to be interesting as to who is obligated to go and who wants to go. But, okay, I got 2 out of 3 right yesterday on the prediction part. I thought Ohio State would beat Iowa. I did. But Northwestern beat Minnesota 72-64. All right, so, again, Chris Collins has done a great job. Now, that's a team that's going to go to postseason whatever, and they will play. Okay? Ohio State appears destined to go now to the Crown, in all likelihood, in Las Vegas or the NIT, but most likely the Crown. Iowa won 77-70. USC rallied last night. They won in double overtime. They beat Rutgers 97-89. Desmond Cloud had 28 last night. And it was, the fact that they got there, because they were USC's losing down the stretch. And in the first half, USC dominated them. They were leading by 15 points.
Yep.
Finally, guess what? They go on a 9-2 run, Rutgers does. They take the lead and then kept the lead right to the end and then got caught. And then in double overtime, USC won. Rutgers is an interesting team, and I think Steve Peichel is a really good coach. So please, right? But this has turned out the way I thought it would. When you look at Harper and Bailey, 2 terrific talents, and they had nothing else around them. Nope. And it really is, if you're going to start labeling like somebody that struggled coaching his team this year, he's one of them. They ended up under 500. Okay? They ended up at 15-17, and he's got 2 NBA lottery picks. Really? So today, here's the lineup. 4 games today. Indiana and Oregon will play as the leadoff game. Indiana could really help itself by winning. The 2 teams just played 10 days ago. They just played. The game was up in Eugene at the Knight Center, and Oregon won. And so this is a big game for Indiana. And Oregon won the game, by the way, 73-64. It's the one loss down the stretch they've had. Northwestern bounces right back. They're going to play Wisconsin today. That game is going to be the 2:30 game. Then the nightcaps, Iowa, Illinois, 6:30. USC, Purdue is at 9. These games are all on BTN after being in the Witness Protection Program network last night, which is called Peacock. It's all about the kids.
Right.
All about
several reasons why that's the case.
It's all about the kids.
That's right.
All right, so now we'll get to the ACC. What are they doing today? Duke, Georgia Tech leads it off. North Carolina, okay, by beating Notre Dame last night, all they did was keep their hopes alive. It didn't help them get in. It just kept their hopes alive. They're in the same boat today with Wake Forest. This is a quad 2 game. So this isn't going to help them either. The bottom line is they need to beat Duke. They have one quad 1 win. Now, Ohio State losing helps North Carolina, but okay, Stanford, good game last night, beat Cal finally. They have got Louisville. SMU beat Syracuse last night. They've got Clemson. So that's the ACC story. Now let's go to the SEC story. The SEC, which I think could get I think they could get 13 in, believe it or not. I mean, how about that? They could get 13 teams in. So today, they've got 4 games. Arkansas will take on Ole Miss. Texas and Texas A&M play at 3:30. Mississippi State takes on Missouri. That's at 7. And Oklahoma plays Kentucky at 9:30. It's a game that Oklahoma desperately needs to win. Okay? The Big 12 on the Louis Vuitton court. Have you seen that? It's unbelievable. Iowa State, BYU. Now, this is a terrific opening game at 12:30. It's on ESPN2. Colorado, Houston. Okay? Colorado may be the 16 seed, but they won. Houston is really a legitimately outstanding defensive team. Really good. Baylor, Texas Tech, and Kansas against Arizona. So those are the ones coming up tonight. MAC quarterfinals already underway. Akron leading Bowling Green 27-13, 8 minutes to go, first half. Let's see. Duquesne plays St. Bonaventure today. Butler plays St. John's. That's at noon at the Garden. Let's see. South Florida, Wichita State, 12:30. Ohio plays Toledo at 1:30 in the quarterfinals of the MAC. Davidson, St. Louis. Charlotte, FAU. Marquette, Xavier. That's a good matchup. Big East quarterfinal at the Garden. Let's see. San Jose State, New Mexico in the Mountain West. Eastern Michigan, Miami of Ohio. Keith Ergo's Fordham team won last night. They get George Washington in the second round tonight. Boise State, San Diego State. Let's see. Johnny Gal, I have to mention John Gallagher. Johnny Gal's Manhattan team takes on Iona at 6 tonight. That's a quarterfinal game. Western Michigan, Kent State. Mexico State, Kennesaw State. Let's see. Who else we got here? Adam Fisher's Temple team in the American second round takes on Tulsa at 7. Back to the Big East, DePaul Creighton. DePaul won last night. Creighton quarterfinals, Madison Square Garden at 7 o'clock tonight. Fran Dunphy's career still alive at LaSalle. They won. They've got St. Joe's, second round. Let's see. Who else we got here? Anybody else of note? Nevada, Colorado State, Mountain West quarterfinal. Let's see. Villanova, UConn, 9:30. Okay. If Villanova were to win, their fans truly believe they're in the NCAA tournament. Okay. Might I have them go to the dictionary, look up the word delusional? They've got the crown written all over them. Now, if they say they get to the final, then things change. Also late tonight, Mountain West UNLV Utah State at 11:30. So there you go. I don't think there are any bids today, are there? I don't think there are any bids at stake today. At least that I can see. I don't see any bids available today. All right, so there's that. Let's get to the NCAA wrestling tournament. Let's at least give you the official seeds. I mean, he'd do it, but he didn't know that the championships were taking place. I don't know what you're doing. God, you worry me. Luke Lilladall, number 1 at 125. So he'll get the winner of the 32-33 bout. Caleb Wyand of Michigan State and Marcelo Milani of Cornell. Braden Davis is number 3. I said he was 4. He's 3 at 133. So he'll get number 25, Kurt Phipps of Bucknell in the opening round. Lillardall, by the way, 7-2 against the field this year.
Yeah.
Davis is 6-4 against the field.
Yeah, Lillardall coming on strong too at the end of the year. I thought obviously got pinned a couple meets ago, but other than that, I think since then he's been a lot different.
Bo Bartlett's the number 2 at 141. He'll get Jordan Titus at West Virginia in the opening round. He's number 31. He was third at the Big Tens, 21-1. Bartlett, though, is 11-1 against the field this year. Shane Van Ness, 11-2 against the field this year. He's the number 3 seed. He'll get Gabe Willichall of Wyoming in the opening round. 20-2, All-American, 11-2 against the field, number 3 seed. Tyler Kasich is number 1 at 157. He gets either Richard Vidalin of Columbia or Landon Jellison of Northern Illinois in the opening round. Big Ten champion, 10-1 against the field this year. Mitchell Messenbrink, number 1 seed, 165. Either Chandler Amaker of Central Michigan or Jared Kessler of Pitt. Second straight Big Ten title, All-American last year, 10-0 against the field this year. Levi Haynes, number 2 at 174. He'll take on Avery Bassett of Lock Haven in the opening round. National runner-up 2 years ago. Won the NCAA title last year. 9-1 against the field this year with his 21 record. Carter Starachi, number 1 at 184. He'll either get Caden Rogers of Lehigh or TJ McDonald of Oregon State in the opening round. He's looking for his 5th national title. He is 9-0 against the field. Josh Barr, number 4 at 197. We know he's banged up. He gets Tucker Hogan of Lock Haven in the opening round. Okay. Injury default, bowed out of the tournament. He is 7-3 against the field this year. He's the number 4 seed. So that's the worst seed is 4. Right? And then Greg Kirkfleet is number 3 at 285. He'll get Sam Mitchell of Wyoming in the opening round. If I recall, did Kirkfleet wrestle against Mitchell when they were here at the Jordan Center? Sometimes I'd have to go back and look it up.
Yeah, I remember Wyoming was missing a few people that day. I was even at that.
Right, okay.
I remember it. Yeah,
Kirkfleet is 8-1 against the field this year. The one is Gable Steveson. Okay. So, Thursday to Saturday, Wells Fargo Arena in Philadelphia. Thursday, 11 a.m., 6 p.m. Okay, 11 and, let's see.
12 and 7, I think. Thursday. I think it's 11 and Saturday. It's 12 and 7.
Thursday's 11 and 6. Fridays are 11 and 7. And Saturday are 10 and 6. Do you read?
I think it's... thought it was an hour later, I want to say, for Thursday and Friday. I think noon is when they start Thursday, Friday. Well, 11
Thursday sessions are set for 11 a.m. and 6 p.m. Friday sessions are 11 a.m. and 7 p.m. Right? Saturdays are 10 a.m. and 6 p.m.
I'll tell you. Oh, my God. See, Go PSU even agrees with me. See, so if I'm wrong, they're wrong. See, Thursday sessions are set for 12 and 7.
Well, this is
Friday
their release.
Are set for 12 and 8.
This is their release. This is the official release.
Huh. Yeah. Yeah, that was on Go PSU incorrectly as well then.
I don't know. This is their release.
Yeah. Especially the Saturday. I feel like the Saturday one definitely starts at, then the night session is 8.
Well, it depends on what ESPN told them to do. Well, no, I mean, ESPN may have that, but you may start with consolations at 6.
Yeah. Yep.
mean, look, the bottom line is
Thursday at noon they begin. Yeah, it's just on D1 wrestling schedule. Thursday at noon, wrestlebacks at 7. Friday at noon, wrestlebacks at 8. Semifinals at 8. Consolation Saturday at 11. Finals begin at 7. Everybody messed that one up.
I'll just show up. They'll let you in.
Exactly. I think the wrestling fans. I've seen Penn State. I've seen wrestling fans as a whole. They're not there. They're not there right as it starts. They're there 3 hours prior. So they will be there.
It's like the quarterback club.
Absolutely.
Right. First guest is at noon. I'll walk over. I'll drive by at 9:30. They're outside. I'm like, what are you doing? You're not gonna get the food faster. What are you doing? I don't get it.
Trying to get the autographs. No. I think the interesting part of the tournament, people obviously are talking about Strachey for good reason. He can make history, be the first 5-time, and he's consistently been the best wrestler in the NCAA. But to me, I think what Mitchell Messenbrink has done this year, following the loss in the championships last year, he's tech-balled just about everybody. He has been just absolutely incredible for what he's been able to do so far this year, and that takes nothing away from the rest of the guys. They've all been amazing, but I think what Messenbrink has done.
So last year I asked Cale on the show, I said, Messenbrink is an all-out guy, aggressive, the whole thing. Does he set a tone for the rest of the room? And he says, well, there's really only one of them. He says, so the answer to that would be no. He said they all got to do. Can you imagine Bo Bartlett wrestling that way?
Oh.
Could you imagine that? Bo wrestling that? No, I don't see it. No. So, yeah.
Yep. I think there's a lot of things.
I mean, you have to do what works for you.
Sure.
What Bo does works for him. The frustrating part is, look, I don't think there would be any greater celebration. Look, anybody that wins, you celebrate.
Sure.
But I think everybody is aching for him to win.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody.
Oh, he and obviously Van Ness, too, coming off the injury.
Yeah, but Bo's been here for years.
Sure.
Okay?
Sure.
Van Ness is going to have other chances.
Yeah.
Okay? I think this is the last chance.
For Bo.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, unfortunately, the last chance for Kirkley facing a guy who I tend to have an opinion to think I'm not sure he should have been eligible, but
the rules in wrestling are a little different.
They are, and a lot of other sports.
The Olympic participation part of it.
Yeah, the other sports, the portal's going to be closed when you're not enrolled. That's the part where I kind of was questioning it when that happened.
I'll say this: Kassar beat him.
Yeah. Yeah, he's not going to be a 4-time champion.
No,
Stevenson.
I mean, Anthony Kassar beat him.
Sure. Yep. Yeah,
right?
And he's beatable. There's no question, but he is obviously one of the best in the business.
Yeah. So. Yeah.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of storylines going into it. Obviously, Strachey, the big one, but I think Van Ness. I thought wrestled third place. You saw a different Van Ness in that match. A very angry Van Ness, a little bit, obviously coming off the loss.
Sure.
I think let's see what he does, taking that into the NCAAs as well. And I think it's going to be there's a lot of intriguing matchups. I think in a lot of ways in this, and obviously it's location is great. You have it in Philadelphia for the second time in the last 10 to 15 years. I know when Quentin Wright won the title, it was there.
Yeah,
but
so
it's going to be an interesting tournament. I'm looking forward to it in a lot of ways.
Yeah. Yeah, when Quentin Wright won it, that was so big, Bald Eagle areas, right? And it was like the first sign of what the Cale era, the Sanderson era was going to be.
Yep.
It's, yeah. All right. Aaron Rodgers is a free agent. The Center Bulldogs have made a bid. It's like, no, wrong. He is an interesting player. Let's start, first of all, when it comes to the Achilles. Northwestern coach Chris Collins calls out Big Ten for placing his program in an Indianapolis hotel without air conditioning, forcing 85-degree heat. Which hotel were they in?
That's what I'm wondering.
The rooms were 1,000 degrees. There was no AC in the hotel. Our guys at 85. At every turn, they're trying to get us. Scott Markley of the Big Ten declined comment. Collins said what frustrated him the most was they said that they've had this issue for the past 10 days at this hotel. He says the players and the staff will remain in the same hotel. All right? They reported the lack of AC upon arrival, and they were told you're not moving. You just hate it for the guys, Collins said. I have seniors. They're playing for their lives, and they come down and said, Coach, I have to have an ice bucket next to my bed. It's steaming hot. Even this morning we did our walkthrough. Our guys had to sit in the lobby or sit at our team room. They couldn't even go into their rooms. They won last night, by the way. Ty Berry said he slept on top of the covers while tossing and turning all night. Nick Martinelli kept a bucket of ice by his bed all night. He said, when it was happening, we were just kind of joking around. They said, this is gritty, said Martinelli. Okay? Collins was hot and bothered with the Big Ten for multiple reasons, but the hotel situation kept his rhetoric boiling throughout his post-game news conference. They'll put us in one that's hotter if we leave it up to the league. You know, I'll be honest with you. I'd called around, looked around. I'd have moved the whole team. Yeah. And I'd have charged the Big Ten. I would have said, here's the bill.
Yeah.
All right?
Absolutely.
He says, Collins he says, he was also agitated that Martinelli was second team. I'm going to admit I'm one of the people he'd be mad at because I put him on second team. He did add that in an 18-team league, selecting 5 players at the first team is very difficult for anyone. But Collins alluded to officiating at another point. He says, you guys watch the games. You guys are the ones tweeting out how we're being officiated and how we're being treated. I don't have to say anything. You guys watch the games. I do. So I'm not going to get into it right now because you see it. He says, there's a lot of stuff happening to this team on and off the floor, and they keep showing up and fighting. If they've got to sleep in 85-degree weather, then that's what the league wants us to do. We'll just have to figure it out. No, I'd have picked up. I'd have picked up, and I'd have moved them. Indianapolis has a lot of hotels. Now, I realize that right now you have to have, I don't know how many hotels you have because sometimes multiple teams stay in hotels. I mean, a lot of times Penn State has shared the hotel in Indianapolis with Wisconsin and one time shared it with Illinois. But, you know, I'd move. Like, the heck with it. And I said, we're moving, and guess what? The bill is going to you. And don't give me the mumbo jumbo. They're an official hotel. No, there's no AC in it, so we're going to go someplace. I mean, I'd move. Yeah. So back to Aaron Rodgers. He is a somewhat polarizing figure, a lot like Brock Purdy. What?
One's got a Super Bowl and is heading to the Hall of Fame. The other one, not so much just yet.
Just yet?
Just yet. Maybe we'll see him there someday. Fingers crossed.
Yeah. What about the Steelers?
Yeah.
I mean, Minnesota sounds like they absolutely don't want him.
Yeah, I was gonna say that would be the only other place I think they could compete with him.
The owner doesn't want him,
and that pretty much puts the ball in the Steelers' court in the sense of then they have the leverage, because the only other teams that make sense are the Giants going to go after him? Are they going to trust drafting a quarterback? I
don't know.
Or they do both. But other than that, who else is going to take this guy? He's 41 years old. He's coming off. You talked about it. The Achilles injury 2 years ago.
Now I'll say this.
A great year last year.
I'll say this. At the age of 41, that is the issue. But I will say this: the second year back after an Achilles, normally you've got
full movement.
Yeah. Okay. Sure. Now at 41, what does full movement mean?
Yeah.
At my age, I'm trying to remember 41.
But this is going to be Aaron Rodgers being Aaron Rodgers. I don't think a decision comes tomorrow. I think he probably takes a couple weeks. I
think he goes on a retreat.
Exactly. And a couple weeks later, as the draft approaches and teams badly need a quarterback, Aaron Rodgers is still going to be there.
Yeah.
And I think, to me, the Steelers make the most sense. You have a receiving core that is going to be an interesting receiving core, to say the least. It's hopefully Pickens and Metcalf don't get into a legitimate fight on the field. We'll see.
They have the ability to make each other better.
No question.
One of them is going to be singled up. You can't double them.
No.
Yeah, right? And for Freiermuth,
that makes it even better. Yeah.
Holy mackerel. Now, the running game is going to be Warren. Gainhouse is just another guy.
Gainwell, yeah.
Or Gainwell, I mean. Gainwell is just another guy. I was thinking about somebody else.
Gainwell, I think, is effective, but he's not going to be an every
another
down
guy,
yeah, right.
Okay?
Yeah.
He is a third down back.
Sure.
He helps you on third down.
Yeah.
He is not an every down back. Okay?
No.
He's, and by the way, being just another guy in the league means you're in the league.
In the league, and you've been effective for several years, which Gainwell has been.
But he's not a star.
No.
Right? I mean,
he's a role player.
And for some odd reason, I feel like Dan Moore's replaceable.
Just a bit.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's going to be interesting. I think Harris obviously has.
And they signed Slay yesterday, too, the Steelers.
Yeah, yep.
They signed Slay.
Yep.
That'll help them somewhat. I mean, I think he's a bit overrated.
Yeah, I think his better days are behind him, too.
Yeah. But his ability to talk, it's the midseason form.
Always been in midseason form. There's no doubt about it. But the other part you do sometimes. Sometimes you do. Again, you do need those veterans. I think that's a big part of it. Teams that are young teams, you want to have a couple veterans in that locker room to keep them in check.
Okay, so we'll see what happens with him, and then of course what he do with Russell Wilson.
That is a spot that I think.
See, the question to me is Rodgers better at 41 than Russell Wilson is at 36 going on 37? And I'm telling you, it is.
It's close.
It is so close between the two.
It's close.
I don't know.
And I think obviously, Cleveland and the Giants will probably go after Russell Wilson. That's aside from that, did the Steelers bring him back?
Cleveland's got Kenny Pickett. Come on.
That's right. That's
all right.
Got Kenny Pickett and probably going to draft. Well, maybe they don't draft a quarterback. I don't know. They just restructured Watson. Maybe they don't draft a quarterback.
I don't know what they're going to do. All I know is I was on the Cleveland show last week.
Yeah.
And it's their network.
Yeah.
And the whole thing was about Abdul Carter.
You line him up opposite Myles Garrett. I think you got the best.
Right, and it was interesting. I mean, I just found it interesting. I mean, it doesn't mean they can't sit there in round 2 and take Jackson Dart.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just throwing it out there.
Their quarterback situation is not good, but there's worse. There's a lot worse out there right now.
You mean Tommy DeVito?
Yeah, exactly.
He's the only quarterback on the Giants roster.
I'm not sold on the Titans, and Levis is a great guy. I'm not sure on his game is transferred to the NFL. So there's two teams right there.
He's played about the way I thought he would.
Yeah,
and I'm not being a jerk here.
No,
I'm just saying There's certain things.
I don't know what people saw above C.J. Stroud with him. We saw Stroud enough.
Great release. I'm talking about Will.
Yeah.
Great release, strong arm, powerfully built.
Sure.
But you need accuracy.
I was going to say, you need accuracy at some point.
You need to be able to drop the ball in the bucket. You got to have a little touch sometimes. Those are things that Will's never had. Right? It's the same thing with Justin Fields, something he's never had.
Right.
All right, so we're talking about the tournament right now. Let's see. ACC, the locks are Clemson, Duke, and Louisville. All right. Anybody that should be in, nobody right now. North Carolina, SMU, Wake Forest are those hoping to somehow convince somebody. Okay. Big 12. Okay. No doubt in. They got 6 that are no doubts. Arizona, BYU, Houston, Iowa State, Texas Tech, Kansas. Who should be in? Probably Baylor and West Virginia. Okay? Big East. St. John's, UConn, Marquette, Creighton. Anybody in the mix? Probably Xavier. For some reason, you don't see Villanova's name.
Can't imagine.
Their fans think they beat UConn tonight. They're in. Like, no. Now, there are 8 teams that are locks in the Big Ten. I think they're going to get 9 out of this. But Illinois, Maryland, Michigan, Michigan State, Oregon, Purdue, UCLA, and Wisconsin. Okay, they're all in. Okay? We know Ohio State hurt itself last night. Indiana can help itself today at noon. Okay? Now, I will say this about Indiana. You know what really helps them? Is that while they're 4-12 in Quad 1 games, all their losses are in Quad 1. They have no losses in Quad 2 or Quad 3, or obviously 4. So that's something to look at. The SEC has virtually everybody in. Let's see, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. 11 are in, probably 12, because Arkansas has probably won their way in. Auburn, Alabama, Florida, Georgia, Kentucky, Mississippi State, Missouri, Ole Miss, Tennessee, Texas A&M, Vanderbilt. It looks like Arkansas has won their way in. Okay? Now, they had a 20-point lead over South Carolina. It got down to 1 at one point. Even Cal was sweating. All right. So, what about the rest of the world? Drake is in with an automatic bid. Gonzaga is in with an automatic bid. Others that are already in, without doubt, would be Memphis, New Mexico, St. Mary's, and Utah State. If you can put up with the St. Mary's pace of play, balls on the floor, balls in the hand, balls on the floor, balls in the hand. It's very slow. Okay? Boise State, Colorado State, Dayton, San Diego State, VCU, UC Irvine, UC San Diego are right there to be thought about. Okay? Last night, Montana beat Northern Colorado, by the way, to get in. Northern Colorado had dominated that conference and lost the title game. They are out. Okay. The North Carolina fans, let's say this. Let's start with this. North Carolina, to its credit, played an excellent non-conference schedule. An excellent non-conference schedule. But the problem is the 1-11 in Quad 1 games. I mean, Penn State's got a better record in Quad 1 games. That's the issue is the Quad 1 games. Okay? What does Quad 1 mean? Okay? When you're in this situation, what does Quad 1 mean? Quad 1 is an indicator about whether you can advance against the field. That's what it means. Quad 1 games are the indicator of whether, hey, you get in, you got a shot to advance against the field. I think when Penn State got in 2 years ago, Penn State, I think, had 7 quad 1 wins or something like that. They were like 7 and 8 maybe in quad 1s, somewhere in that neighborhood. Well, of course you can advance. And then they tore Texas A&M apart. I mean, Andrew Funk is still hitting shots. They still don't know where he is. Miles Dredd's still hitting shots. They don't know where he is either. But this is, again, there's another part to this too. Let's talk about Texas for a moment. They're, 18 and 14 or something like that at this stage. When you're in these power conferences, everybody beats each other up. And I said this about the football part. That's why when I do at least understand the argument of Greg Sankey and Tony Petitti, I at least have an understanding of why they want 4 automatic bids each. Because they're playing each other and knocking the living daylights out of each other all season long. Okay? There are very few, quote, soft openings in those two conferences. Well, look at the Texas situation in basketball. They move over to the SEC, right? They're 6 and 12 in conference play. Now, that's against what is the deepest conference in the country right now, Big Ten being the second deepest conference. That's the deepest conference in the country. And that's an issue. North Carolina has a better record, but they aren't helped because they're in the ACC.
Absolutely.
Okay. Again, last summer, an ACC school called Penn State. It wasn't Virginia Tech because obviously they played each other. Okay, and said, "Hey, look, can we play you guys? We need strength, Big Ten strength of schedule on our resume because we can't get it in the ACC." That's the issue. That's the issue. Same thing goes for football. I know they got 2 in with SMU and Clemson because Clemson won the title game. Clemson doesn't win the title game. The ACC gets 1. Okay? And Alabama probably gets the extra spot, which would give the SEC 4. The Big Ten got 4 in. Well, I mean, that's the problem. And it's only going to get worse in the ACC because they're going, anytime you go with uneven revenue sharing, okay, it's been shown over and over again, uneven revenue sharing. Why is the Big 12 in the position they're in? Because Texas took the lion's share of the money. They had an uneven revenue share in there because of Texas. And it was a bone of contention in that conference, in conference meetings over and over again. Well, now Texas goes to the SEC. They're getting an even cut. But it's been shown any time that the Big East broke up in football, they had an uneven revenue share. Okay? Big 12 has been picked apart over the years. Uneven revenue share. Okay? At one point, the Pac-12 had an uneven revenue share, went to an even revenue share, and the USC people are like, "Oh, you got to be kidding me," because Bill Moose is the one that pushed it at Washington State. But the conferences that have an equal revenue share, SEC, Big Ten. Problems? The only problem they have is turning people down. No, I don't think we're expanding right now. Because they're the places to land, the places to be. But what brings with it, though, is this, and that is Texas going 6 and 12 in the SEC. Because everybody beats each other up over a 2.5-month span in these conferences, in these power conferences. The Big Ten, you beat each other up, right? You beat each other up in the SEC. So you're going to end up with a team, Texas, that has some talent at 6-12. Meanwhile, North Carolina does have talent. Center's position's killing him, by the way. I mean, after having the joy of Baycott being in there all these years, right? They haven't replaced him. And then in certain games, that's where they're getting hurt. But the ACC schedule does them no favors. That's why they played the non-conference schedule they did, but they didn't do themselves a favor by winning any games. They won games, but in the 12 quad one games, they won one. And the North Carolina fans can point out that they're 36 in the net, they're 35 in 27 in Ken Palm. Same story in BPI. All right, strength of schedule. Right, really good. Last month, Torvik has them as the 13th best team in college basketball. They're the 13th best team in college basketball playing the ACC schedule. Ask yourself why there's only 3 locks. Your problem is you're 1-11 against quad one. And guess what? There's a good chance that after you play Duke, should you get that far, you're going to be 1-12. Well, so am I supposed to be impressed by that? Now, I don't mind if a team is sitting there and look, let's just take a base of 12, and you're 4-8 or okay against quad ones. At least you won 4 of them, and you won over 20 games, and you played a strength of schedule that was really good. I'm fine. Okay? 5-7, I'm really good with it. Okay? It shows you can compete against the field. When you're 1-11, yeah, I watched the Duke game the other night. They're playing at home. For a period of time, North Carolina competed. Unfortunately for them, right, that period of time was about 10 to 12 minutes. The other 28, Duke on North Carolina's floor was the better team. That's an issue. Mm-hmm. Are you back tomorrow?
I don't think so. I think Kyle's back tomorrow, I believe.
So you're saying the door is open for the show to have some semblance of
That's right.
success.
That's right. Till Monday.
Okay. On Monday, there's a good chance we're going to break down the tournament bracket. This won't involve the 49ers or Trey Lance.
That's all right.
Unless you're in a pool with them.
I would dominate both of them, I think, at the moment.
Yeah. Just so. Is it true you applied for the Virginia job?
No, not Virginia. Minnesota, maybe.